Hello guys and welcome to another Football Manager video in relation to FM16. Now today I'm going to go through each Premier League team and pick one player that I believe should be upgraded for FM16, and in a separate video after this one I'm going to do one player from each Premier League team again who I believe should be downgraded on the new game in terms of real life football over the last season or so. Now we're going to do it in alphabetical order. We're going to kick it off with Arsenal. Now this was a tricky one because we could have went for Hector Bellerin here. Now the reason I've chose Francis Coquelin is because Hector Bellerin is only 19 on the game and has plenty of time to develop. Now Coquelin has only really come to form in the last year or so. He's 23 now, so he should be upgraded for next year. So I think with Bellerin's age, he's going to develop anyway into a top player. For Arsenal, my upgrade goes to Francis Coquelin. Now, I have upgraded him on my Football Manager transfer database, so this is not how he looks in the original default database. Now, he's been rock solid over the last year. He is the reason Arsene Wenger didn't go out and buy a ball-winning defensive midfielder, because Francis Coquelin stepped up to the plate, and in recent times he's been on loan to Lorient and Freiburg. So he seems to be a key part of that team now, really coming into his own. And for me, for Arsenal, in the Premier League, he's the player that I think deserves the upgrade most, just over Hector Bellerin, but I believe he will become good anyway on the new game. Now we move on to Aston Villa, and I think this one's a clear winner for who needs upgraded the most. And the reason I say this is because Jack Grealish is in the Aston Villa under-21s on the game, and he's looking to get loaned out first season, whereas now he is Tim Sherwood's main man. It seems he's the one who's trying to build things and hope things develop around. He's turned into a fine young player. If he sorts that attitude he apparently has out, which I don't know if he has it, then he could be a top draw player. With a loan spell and Notts County, 37 games and 5 goals really helping him. Valued at 5 million at the start, but he gets loaned out, and under the AI he never seems to develop as he probably should. Human controlled, yes he does, but as the game progresses, I'd like to see him get better with AI instead of staying at a mid-club level. I want to see him in the first team on FM16, no under-21s, no getting loaned out first season, because most clubs can get him on loan. He's currently on at Celtic in my save. Now, this is pretty obvious. The one that needed upgraded for Aston Villa, Jack Grealish. Top player he's going to be for me, and he needs upgraded slightly because his attributes are pretty good, but I think he needs upgraded so much that even if he's not human controlled and he is controlled by the AI, he needs to go on a higher level instead of pottering around at mid-table at best. Now we move on to Bournemouth, and this is a tough one because we could have had Matt Ritchie, Lee Tomlin or Tyrone Mings as the upgrade, but I've gone for Callum Wilson because he has had a good start to his Premier League career, scored a few goals. He got signed by Bournemouth from Coventry where he got almost 1 and 2. And to be fair, he looks quite good on the game already, but I think maybe an upgrade in the composure, the concentration, and possibly one on the finishing. It looks pretty good to me, but I think a slight upgrade for him because he's the type of player where he's going to be on the transfer list after the season 2 at max, and his value is never really going to go above, say, 5 million. He's only rotation on Football Manager at Bournemouth, where on FM16 he's bound to be a key player, but sadly it now looks like on FM16 he's going to be starting off with that injury that he just got recently, which if you're playing as Bournemouth, that's going to be a big blow to you. So that injury could actually see him downgrade overall, if you know what I mean. He'll get an upgrade in attributes by the time he's fully fit on the game. If he's out for a year as it's believed, he could have dropped back down having not played for all that time. But for Bournemouth, for me, probably just over Tyrone Mings, who's also out for a long time, is Callum Wilson. Now with Chelsea, it was kind of a tough decision because most of their top players are already at an established level, so I kind of had to look at the younger players along the likes of Dominic Solanke, he should be improved, Asaya Brown, he should be improved, but it's got to be this one. Talented young kid who Jody Morris speaks high of is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Plays centre midfielder. He seems to be quite dominant when he's playing for the younger team, and of course he's been involved quite a bit in the first team with Jose Mourinho, and I don't think them attributes do him justice at all. For me, he potters away, gets loaned out a lot, he becomes a free agent, and he ends up at the lower leagues. And I don't think that's the case with this guy. I really do think he could be a top prospect. And under the guidance of Chelsea, and I know they've got a lot of foreign young players, but they used to have coaches such as Brendan Rodgers and Neil Bath as the likes, and Jan Wouters, I believe, take over the youngsters. So hopefully they've still got a good coaching youth staff, and likes of Jody Morris, John Harley I believe is there, helping them develop, and hopefully he becomes on to go a top player, because his attributes now do not represent what he is, or what I believe he is. So hopefully we'll see a massive improvement for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who will not be on the loan list at the start of the game, and you will be able to slot him right into that first team in Chelsea. Maybe not the first 11, but in and around the bench anyway. Ruben Loftus-Cheek of Chelsea is my choice for an upgrade on FM16. Now we're on to Pardew's boys at Crystal Palace. Now this was a tough one, because a lot of their first team players are either not that good, or they're probably really established in the league, and I didn't actually know who to pick. And I think for 28 years old and rotation on FM15 at Crystal Palace, I think Jason Punchin deserves better than what he is. For me, a good player, you always get good effort from him, and he always seems to be involved in matches for Crystal Palace. He's always involved in the build-up play, he's always involved in the goals and assists. And for me, I know this, it might be being a bit kind, me giving him an upgrade, but to be honest, with Crystal Palace, I struggled who to say. I looked at Balassi, I looked at Zaha, I looked at a few of the other players, Dwight Gale. They're all pretty much as good as they can be on the game. This guy, you know what, I don't think it'll change that much, but if I was to try and make one a little bit better, it would be Jason Punchin at Crystal Palace. I don't think at Everton there was any doubt of who needed an upgrade. Of course it is the England international John Stones. Now he is good in the game, valued at 10.5 million at the start, but those attributes are not good in comparison to some of the players of that stature and England internationals. Now I think some of his attributes need to be increased. I think his strength needs to be increased, the determination definitely needs to be increased, his decisions do, his bravery does, I think, his teamwork definitely does. You've seen his attitude since that Chelsea move didn't happen for him. His teamwork, he's still got on with it, he's still done the job, he still looked pretty good. And for me, I think he's been pretty rock solid. His marking probably pushed up one or two. But yeah, I think John Stones definitely needs to be upgraded. Upgraded so much that you're going to have to pay big bucks to get him. Right now, I think you can get him for quite cheaply compared to what he can become. Now on FM16, I want to see Everton look for big dollar for him to come or leave to join a bigger club. Probably expected this one at Everton, but John Stones is the upgrade for me for FM16. Now at Leicester it was a slightly more tough one now, because Riyad Miraz has probably got the attributes and at the level that he will probably be good at. Just now, the attributes he has, I can't see him getting much better. I know he's had a blistering start to the Premier League, but if I'm being honest, in FM15, I think they've been quite kind for Miraz, because he's only really come to light this season, but they are very good. So I have given it to Jamie Vardy, of course, now an England international now. Some attributes need to be improved, not a lot. Finishing, probably be boosted up by 1 or 2. His first touch probably go up by 1. And his anticipation, I reckon, can go up by a couple. Probably his composure as well. His decision making maybe up a little bit. But yeah, I think a slight increase for Jamie Vardy, who now seems to be in and amongst the England team on a regular basis and seems to be a big fan he has in Roy Hodgson. So for me, Leicester City, just missing out is Riyad Mahrez, but Jamie Vardy is the one I think needs to get the upgrade most in the Premier League for Leicester City. When it comes to downgrades, which I'm going to do another video on after this, I think Liverpool is going to be pretty easy to pick one or multiple downgrades. But for upgrades in FM16, I know he's valued at 7.5 million, which is kind of generous on the game on FM15 currently just now. But the attributes don't really match that 7.5 million value as he is back up at Liverpool. But I think Jordan Ibe will get an increase. And the reason I say that is because I think they're treating him as like a raw Raheem Sterling. So some of these attributes really need to be moved up a grade. Now, The dribbling's fine, the pace is fine, his crossing needs to be a bit better. Obviously he's impressed recently, he's a winger. He's probably working on that every day on his crossing. I think that needs to be a little bit better. His concentration could be better, his decision making could be better, because he's got to pick and choose when he crosses the ball and tries to assist. Determination of 3, I have no idea where they got that from. He's obviously been driven, went out on loan to Birmingham, come back, got into the Liverpool first team setup. Now he's obviously determined and got himself motivated to get in there, and I think that needs to be improved vastly. As does teamwork and a work rate in particular. Stamina needs to go up a bit as well. And natural fitness, I don't know where they got that 10, that needs to be improved. So for me, Liverpool, for FM16, Jordan Ibe needs to be improved and upgraded. Now in a team full of world class players, I had to pick one that really hasn't been effective either this season or that much last season, to be honest. And what he is on FM15 doesn't represent what he's going to be on FM16. It has to be Samir Nasri, valued at 33.5 million, which says you're probably talking 50 million to get him just now on FM15-ish. Now, I know he's a good player, in fact he's quality, but he has declined quite a bit over the last year. He's not even been involved that much, to be honest. Now, for me, some of his attributes need to be declined. His determination, I think, needs to definitely be declined. And some of his other attributes are not as good as it makes out on this game. I just don't agree with that 33.5 million value. For me, that needs dropped by half, I'd say at least, because there's no danger you'd even get close to that when you're selling him on now. So for me, Man City's downgrade is Samir Nasri. Having just realised my mistake that I was doing the upgrades video, not the downgrades video, please excuse that Samir Nasri one, but he will be in the downgrades video next up. So, but the upgrade for Manchester City, for me, it's got to be Fabian Delph. Now, I know he's not as good as what is made out, in my opinion. That value of 11 million is probably roundabout right, but these attributes, I think some of them need to be improved a little bit. The determination needs to be improved. The off the ball needs to be improved. The passing could probably go up as well. The technique could go up. And probably one or two others need to go up as well. Now, 11 million, I say about right for him. He's an England international, of course, again. Can play deep, or he can play centre midfielder. Of course, left Aston Villa recently for Man City. That shows you he wants to win things. He's ambitious. For me, a slight upgrade, not so much in the value but in attributes, needs to be Fabian Delph of Manchester City. For me, no doubt in the game, the upgrade for Manchester United is Anthony Martial. Now, I have edited him, put him to a 10 million value, could even put it more, but at the start of the game, he's only valued at like 1-2 million, something like that. His attributes not even close to what they should have been. I'm not saying he's a £56 million man or whatever, but the attributes needed to be upgraded. And he looks a fine young talent, coming from Monaco, having a brief stint there after coming from Lyon. At the start of FM15, they clearly didn't know what he was, what he could become, where he would end up, because they would not have given him that very poor value of 1-2 million. But I've upgraded him. He looks pretty decent now, but he's definitely going to be the Manchester United player to get a huge upgrade on FM16, in particular after that blockbuster money spinning move from Monaco. Now, with the team I support, Newcastle United, I did want to say Ayozo Perez, but he does go on to become absolutely fantastic. I also wanted to say Dali Janmat, because for me he's one of the best right backs around just now. He's really, really rock solid, but he does go on to make a big move. Now, the one I've gone for, his value's probably about right, but I think some of his attributes need to be a bit better, is Jack Colback. 7.5 million, yes, I think that's spot on his value there. I don't think any club would ever pay more than that for him, but some of his attributes need to be a bit better. His passing could be better. His determination should be up to about 17, I would say. His decisions could be better. His composure definitely goes up. Concentration, about right, because Newcastle tend to have lapses in concentration on the pitch a lot. And all round, I just think he needs to be improved. He's now an established Premier League player, and I don't think he gets the credit on Football Manager that he deserves. He did get in the England squad, he did get injured, so that tells you what Roy Hodgson thinks of him, that he was going to be getting his debut until he pulled up injured, which was unfortunate for him. But for me, of the club I support, Jack Colback, he's the one that needs an upgrade. There's a few others that, few attributes could have got upgraded, but overall it's Jack Colback for me. No doubts about it for Norwich for me. His wage is pretty poor considering his ability. He's going to have an incredible season this season for Norwich in the Premier League. He's got the attributes for a wide man that you'd expect, the crossing, the dribbling, the pace. I reckon his stamina needs increased. That's Nathan Redmond we're talking about, of course. His decision making needs increased. His anticipation needs increased. His teamwork, of course, as well. His vision, I think, might need increased a bit. And overall, I just think Nathan Redmond, maybe not his value again. I think he's the all-time leading under-21 England captain now, taking over from James Milner, I believe. I think Stephen Taylor was pretty close to that as well. For me, fantastic talent. Again, not so much the value increase because you will sell him for a lot more, but in terms of attributes, there's a few areas that really need improved on Nathan Redmond. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. So Nathan Redmond of Norwich, for me, FM16, he's the one in their team that I think needs an upgrade. Okay, so at Southampton, there's one player for me that he's been in and around the Premier League and Championship for a few years now, and I think he's been needed improved for quite a while, a few years on Football Manager. For me, Shane Long. He's always there or thereabouts, and he's always playing well. You never talk of Shane Long often having a bad game. Okay, he's not an out-and-out natural goal-scoring striker. He does a lot more work than score the goals. His finishing still does need improved by probably 1 or 2. His determination, I think, needs to go up to about 18, 19. His anticipation, probably up 1 or 2. But yeah, for me, he definitely needs an upgrade. His jumping reach, I know he's not the biggest of guys, but he seems to score a few decent headers, and he scored one against Newcastle recently. For me, that might need to go up. And probably his positioning, his off the ball, could be a little bit better than that as well, I think. His concentration, probably go right up by, say, 5 marks on that. Probably his decision making could go up as well. For me, value again is probably just about right, but there's quite a few attributes that needed upgraded in Shane Long of Southampton. For me at Stoke, it had to be this man getting an increase. Now, after a season or so, you could probably pick Jack Butland up currently for about £4 or £5 million because he's not established on the game. But now, as an established player and number 1 at Stoke City, and the season he's currently having, they would be struggling if it wasn't for Jack Butland. For me, he needs improved in every area. His goalkeeping, his mental, and his physical need improved. Every area, maybe not so much as physical, but every other area needs improved vastly. His value could probably go up 2-3 million. Of course, he is an England international now. Had a few loan spells that's really made him develop and progress, but big time improvement is needed on Jack Butland of Stoke City. Tough one at the Mackems, who to pick needs upgraded, and I'm going to pick their current best player already. Now, for me, whatever's going to happen at Sunderland, whether it be assists or goals itself, this guy, Jermaine Lens, is going to be at the heart of it. He's definitely their best player, but he does still need an upgrade, I think. For me, the value is okay, but he's an established Dutch international. There's a few things I think need improved. It was a bit of a coup for Sunderland, to be honest. His decision making, his anticipation, his strength needs improved, his technique could probably go up, his finishing could probably even go up 1 or 2, but for me, he's in a team that he's too good for. That PSV record of 34 and 96 is pretty decent. Now, that is a record that's probably more suited to a mid-table, not a relegation battle team. For me, I know he's our best player, and I know he's pretty good already, but he still needs a bump up. Not majorly, but a little bump up in attributes on FM16. That's Jermaine Lens of Sunderland. Now at Swansea, there was a few players I thought could have been upgraded slightly. Jonjo Shelvey, Bafétimbi Gomez, and a couple of others. Andre Ayew, one that can maybe be improved, but he's also at a very good level currently on the game. Now I've went for Jefferson Montero because this season he's really coming into the zone. I think his crossing, definitely better than that. pace is probably better than that. His dribbling is probably better than that. And I think a lot of it needs to be improved. His anticipation, definitely. His work rate, when he played against Newcastle, he absolutely destroyed us. So I think he needs to be improved on that. The vision could be improved. But yeah, I think quite a few attributes this guy, Jefferson Montero, needs improved, because he's going to be at the heart of a lot of what goes on at Swansea this season. On the wing, along with Andre Ayew. Jefferson Montero of Swansea. Now I know what you're thinking, valued at 17 million, an England international, Harry Kane. How does he really need to improve? But for me, he definitely does. He needs a bump up in a few attributes to make him one of the elite strikers. I know he's had a poor-ish start to the season so far, but last season was not a one-hit wonder, believe me. When Alan Shearer is praising you, saying he's got the potential that we go on to be England's main man, you know you've got something good. Now, for me, his pace, he's not fast, but he's faster than 11. His determination, he's been loaned out, I think it's about 6 or 7 times. So to come back and play for the club he wanted to play for since he was a young lad, I think that needs improved. Determination, I'd put that up to about 15 probably. His leadership skills from 12, probably bump that up to about 15 also. He did captain the squad last season, so he's obviously got a bit of mouth on him. Pochettino's seen for him to lead the team out. Penalty taking could probably be improved as well. It's only 11. Finishing's about right. Composure, I'd knock that up 1 or 2 probably. And yeah, but it looks pretty good just now. But I think there's 3 or 4 attributes that could bump him up to be an elite striker. Bear in mind he's valued at 17 million, but you can actually get him for around that figure quite early on. So keep the value the same, but make him more harder to sign. That's Harry Kane of Spurs. For me, it needs a little upgrade. For this one, there was no real doubt. But this guy I had not even really heard of, to be honest, until last season. And this season he's had a very good start to the season. He's really burst on, turned down a big money spinning move to Qatar to stay at Watford. I'm not saying he needs a huge improvement, because no disrespect, he's playing at a newly promoted Premier League team. But not just finishing up by 1, his decisions up by 1, his determination by 2 or 3. For me, his anticipation can go up. That was pretty good. I've seen that against Newcastle. It was pretty good, his anticipation. But yeah, don't think he needs a huge upgrade, but 1 or 2 for me. Odion Igalo, I honestly didn't know who he was until the last year or so. So for me, he's making a name for himself, and he's come on really well, and he's got a few goals early on in the season. So for me, Odion Igalo of Watford needs a little increase, and of course a Nigerian international also. Tough one here at West Brom. I did not actually want to say Saido Berahino, because some of his attributes are actually pretty good. They're rock solid already. But for me, the only reason I'm picking him, he's valued at 9.25 million. But it seems after season 1 he's very easy to get at the club. Get away from the club, sorry. He's very easy to sign, and I don't like it. West Brom showed a lot of rock solid, I don't know what you want to call it. They kept their man basically. They stood by the word. Jeremy Peace did not let him go, no matter how much you wanted to. So for me, I think they should make him much harder to sign. His attributes are not too far off. They're pretty good, I think. For me, I don't think that it needs any real vast improvements. For me, on FM16, they pretty much nailed it. I just want them to basically make the AI not sell him as easy and as cheap as he does currently on FM15. That's Saido Berahino of West Brom. Okay, so we'll wrap the video up with West Ham. Now, I believe Aaron Cresswell was West Ham's Players' Player, or Fans' Player of the Year last season. Duly so. For me, he is a real rock solid player. Now, I know England have got the likes of Luke Shaw, Leighton Baines, etc. But for me, this guy is not far away from having a look in or making a big shout and saying, Roy, I'm here. Because I think he's really good. West Ham really got a good player from Ipswich there. He spent a long time at Ipswich. He's racked up 200 games in the lower leagues with Ipswich and Tranmere, and he got his big chance last season with West Ham. And for me, he really did take it. Now, I think he's got pretty solid stats overall, but I don't think he has enough solid stats to take him to a further height and a bigger club and higher club than West Ham. But I think he does need a boost in those attributes. That's Aaron Cresswell of West Ham. Thank you for checking out this video, guys. This is my one player upgrade of every Premier League team. So FM16 Premier League potential upgrades, and apologise for that Sammy Nasri downgrade. I actually forgot. But I will do the downgrades soon. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you think any other players should be upgraded in the new game, then let me know. Thanks for checking out. Sub, like our pages, follow us on Twitter, etc. Thanks for checking out the video, and I'll see you again soon.